So good morning, students. So today we'll deal with the long answers, that is comprehension 2 and 3. As I told you, in textbook number of questions are there, and I will combine them and one or two questions together and one common answer. So that will help you for the exams. Otherwise you can't read all the questions there, and sometimes the same answers will come for the other one also. So please take your textbook and see the comprehension 2. You can follow the screen also. So in that, the first one is, what is the observation of Borges about his mother? That is comprehension 2. The first question, what is the observation of Borges about his mother? So this is very important question. 4 more questions, it is often repeated. So let us go for the answer. George Louis Borges, the full name is George Louis Borges, an Argentine writer, is a writer from Argentina. In the interview conducted by Roberto Alifano, he is also an Argentine poet and journalist, recalls about his mother. Always just give an introduction. So the second question was by Alifano, that is, what is your opinion or remarks about your mother? Then Borges starts telling. At first, he mentions about his father and his library and where he was educated more than in school or the university. This is all he says about his father. Then second, he speaks about his mother. He says that his mother, Donna Leonor, name of the mother is Donna Leonor. She was an extraordinary person, not an ordinary person, an extraordinary person who showed great kindness to him. He remembers her kindness. She was very kind towards him. So she was an extraordinary person who showed great kindness to him. Then he considered his mother an intelligent and gracious woman who had no enemies. So he remembers about his mother. He was an intelligent woman and also a gracious woman who never had any enemies. Then Borges recalls that all the children, it is true of all children, that when their mother dies, they feel that they have taken her for granted, as they do with the moon or the sun or the seasons. See, he also feels guilty. Borges feels guilty that he has not given her the deserved happiness. What the mother required, that amount of love and affection, the care, he had not given. And he realizes this only when she dies. After her death, he realizes, he feels guilty that he has done some mistake in looking after his mother. Then he also says that it is true of all children. All the children are of the same nature. When mother is alive, they don't bother about her. They just take it for granted, just like the sun or the moon or the seasons. They feel that they have abused her. Sometimes they feel, yes, we have abused her. We should not have done that. We should not have made her this thing. That's so sad. We should have looked after her. This all comes to the mind after the death of their mother. And they do not realize this before her death. Everyone realizes this only after the death. They only realize it later, as Borges did. The matter is quite less only, but you have to expand, give an explanation, so that it comes about 80 to 100 words. 4 marks means 80 to 100 words. It comes about 1 paragraph, and in your exam paper it is half page or slightly more. It must be at least half page. People don't follow the limit. Limit is also important. Sometimes you lose marks. Your answers may be correct, but your limit may be very less. Suppose you write about 50 words As you know, in SSLC, you are expected to write about 50 words. But in a PU, 4 marks, you have to write about 80 to 100 words. Each one of you should know how many lines you have to get about 80 to 100 words. You can count and find out. So approximately it comes to 10 to 15 lines, 10 or 12 lines. So about half page or slightly more than that. Please follow the limit also. This is the first question, important question. What is the observation of Borges about his mother? First question in the textbook. And is it common experience of everyone? Again, I'll just shortly revise. Borges is an Argentine writer. In the interview conducted by Alifano, who is also an Argentine poet and journalist, recalls about his mother. At first, he mentions that his mother was an extraordinary person. She was an extraordinary person and she had great kindness towards him. He considered his mother an intelligent and a gracious woman who had no enemies, and he feels guilty that he had not given her the deserved happiness. Borges assumes that it is true of all children that when their mother dies, they also feel that they have taken her for granted, just like the sun or the moon or the seasons. But when the mother dies, then they realize that they have done a mistake. They feel guilty. And they do not realize this till her death. They only realize it later on and they feel sorry. So this is the answer for the first question. That is about the mother in your textbook, Comprehension 2. Then I'll go for the second one. What does Borges learn from Goethe's saying? That is all that is near. Comprehension 2, second question. So what does Borges learn from Goethe's saying? All that is near becomes far. And also there's one more question, that is, can humiliation and misfortune be transmuted? Can humiliation and misfortunes be transmuted? And in what way? Anyway, so these two questions can be combined. If the question is about humiliation, that is question number 3, and misfortunes, and also about Goethe, the answer will be the same. So let us go for the answer. Borges thinks that whatever happens to us is a resource. Whatever happens to us is a resource and have been given to us for a purpose. God gives everything with an intention, with a purpose. All that happens to us, including the humiliations or misfortunes and embarrassments, are given to us just as a raw material, as clay, so that we may shape our art. This is important. All the misfortunes, all the humiliations, and all the embarrassments, they are given to us just like raw material, as clay, so that we may shape our art. Then Homer, the great Greek writer, the Homer in the Odyssey, his writing is the Odyssey, writes, the gods wrought and spun the skein of ruin for men, that they might be a strong for those yet to be born. The gods wrought, W-R-O-U-G-H-T, and spun the skein of ruin for men, that there might be a song for those yet to be born. Whatever the wordings are in the inverted commas, you have to give them as it is. In one of his poems, Borges also has conveyed the same concept, that is, humiliation, misfortune, and discord were given to us. Here, humiliation is and misfortunes are same, but only that he has given discord, means disagreement. Discord were given to us so that we may transmute them and make from the miserable circumstances of our life eternal works that aspire to be so. That means all these things are given to us. Humiliation, misfortune, and discord, so that we may transmute them. We can change them. Transmute means we can change them into something, eternal works that aspire to be so, something great things. Then he quotes the words from Goethe. Goethe, another German writer, Alles nahi word fern. Alles nahi word fern, which means all that is near becomes far. All that is near becomes far. So what Goethe means is that he refers to the sun, but he also refers to the life and all things that leave us. That means we think that is something is belonging to us, but in fact it is not. We think that something is near to us. In fact, it is far away. Goethe gives the example of sunset. Say sunrise and sunset, they look very near to us. That is because of the shape of the earth. We feel that they are very near to us. But in fact, they are very far. Even in the afternoon when the sun is up in the sky, the same distance is there when the sun is rising and when the sun is setting. But we feel that it is very near, whereas it is not. That's the meaning of that. Then, in Borges' case, the visible world has moved away from his eyes. That means he has become blind. The visible world has moved away from his eyes forever. But fortunately, it has been replaced by other things. So he is optimistic. He takes in a positive way. Though God has taken away my eyesight, but God has given me other things. I can write, I can read book, I can write good top listening. So literature, he is always at the tip of his fingers. He can do anything. So he feels that God has given me some things in place of my eyesight. He feels that it is his duty to accept and as far as possible enjoy those things. So this is the answer for the second one. Just I'll repeat again. The question is, what does Borges learn from Goethe saying all that is near becomes far? Question number 2. Or can humiliation and misfortune be transmuted? This is question number 3 in your book. Then next question. Then he writes, he says that whatever happens to us is a resource and they have been given to us for a purpose. For example, the humiliation, misfortunes and embarrassments are given to us just like raw material as clay so that we may shape them. Then he refers to Odyssey, Homer's Odyssey, in which he writes, the gods wrought and spun the skein of ruin for men, so that there might be a song for those yet to be born. So Borges also, in one of his poems, he has conveyed the same concept. Humiliation, misfortune and discord were given to us so that we may transmute them and make some eternal works that aspire to be so. Then he quotes the words from Goethe, Alles nahi word fern, which means all that is near becomes far. In these words, Goethe refers to not only the sunset, but also to life and all things that leave us. In Borges' case, the visible world has moved away from his eyes forever, but fortunately, it has been replaced by many other things. He feels that it is his duty to accept and as far as possible enjoy those things. It's a very important one. Then next question about the poetry. In what way do you think poetry is an aesthetic act? What way do you think that poetry is an aesthetic act? Or, question number 3 in the text, why is it important for poetry to use language precisely? Why is it important for poetry to use language? That is question number 5. In comprehension 2, question number 5. Then one more question is there on third, comprehension 3. That is second one. Poetry is magical, mysterious, and unexplainable. How does Borges explain this strange aspect of poetry? So all the three questions, if you start reading three answers, it will be difficult. All the three questions will have the same answer. That is about poetry. What is poetry? Definition of poetry, and what is the precise language? Magical, mysterious, unexplainable. For everything, I'll give an answer. The same answer only. Then Borges tells that poetry is something. When Alifano asks him to define poetry, Borges tells that poetry is something so intimate, so essential that it cannot be defined without oversimplifying it. See, poetry is very intimate, very essential, that it cannot be defined without oversimplifying it. It would be like defining the color green or yellow, love, and the fall of leaves in autumn. So you can't define the color yellow. You can't define love and the fall of leaves in the autumn. Similarly, you can't define poetry. Then, poetry is an aesthetic act. It's very important. Poetry is an aesthetic act. What is aesthetic act? That means it gives some pleasure to our senses. So we have 6 senses. Sometimes we feel happy. Sometimes we feel something is sweet. You listen something music. We feel happy. All these things are called aesthetic act. Aesthetic, something which gives pleasure to the senses. Then it is an aesthetic act which gives aesthetic pleasure to the senses. Poetry is not the poem. Understand this. Poetry is not a poem, as the poem may be nothing more than a series of symbols. Poetry is different and poem is different. Poem means some lines, 4 lines, 5 lines, 6 lines. So this is poem. But poetry, something abstract, which cannot be defined. Then, the poetic act takes place when the poet writes it and when the reader reads it. See, the poetic act starts when the poet starts writing and also continues when the reader starts reading it. And it always happens in a slightly different manner. Slightly different. Poets, same manner, it will not happen. There will be some difference, but it will be there. When the poetic act takes place, we become aware about that. We feel. Suppose you have seen a film and then you start thinking about that on the next day, you will feel some happiness inside. And that means we feel that. That is called as a aesthetic act or aesthetic effect. Poetry is magical, mysterious, and unexplainable. Poetry is magical, mysterious, and unexplainable, though not an incomprehensible event. Incomprehensible means we can understand. Double negative. Incomprehensible means not incomprehensible, means comprehensible. See, poetry is magical, mysterious, and unexplainable. But at the same time, it is understandable. You can understand. If one does not feel the poetic act upon reading, the poet has failed. If a person starts reading a poem and the poetic act does not take place, he does not feel anything, then who has failed? The poet has failed. The writer has failed. Okay. It is important in the art of poetry to find precise words. See, I am combining all answers of 2-3 questions together. So, it's very important to have precise words. It is these precise words that elicit emotion. So, only if you use precise words, you can elicit emotion. Then, Borges refers to a writer, Emily Dickinson, who exemplifies this. This quiet dust was gentlemen and ladies. This quiet dust was gentlemen and ladies. So here the phrase gentlemen and ladies gives the magic and the poetic quality. If he had used men and women, it would have failed as poetry. It would not have been so nice. There will be no emotion in that. So she used this quiet dust, that is dust of death, was gentlemen and ladies. If she had then, it would have been trivial. If she had used men and women, yes, it would have been normal. Now Borges stresses on the need of the use of metaphors in poetry. He also says that metaphors must be used. Though metaphors have been existing from the beginning of time, but the poet must discover the metaphors and start using them in poetry. Precise words are important, metaphors are important. And he explains about essential metaphors. That can be another question about essential metaphors. That is metaphors about essential metaphors you must be knowing. River, what is that? Life and dream, river and death, and all these. Well, time and river, life and dream, death and sleep, stars and ice, flowers and women. These are all essential metaphors. Anyway, these are about the views of poetry. About a very important question. They regularly repeat this question. What are the views of Borges on poetry? Okay. The next one is, a book goes beyond the author's intention. Do you agree? A book goes beyond, that is comprehension 3, first question. Comprehension 3 nalli, the first question. And comprehension 2 nalli, sixth one. See, comprehension 2, sixth question. Comprehension 3, first question. So, both are the same. For example, a book goes beyond the author's intention. Do you agree? Or what does Borges speak about the theme of books? Borges speak about the theme of books. And why does Borges say that books will not? No, that is the next question. Let me see. Okay. One is, a book goes beyond the author's intention. And what does Borges speak about the theme of books? So Borges speaks about the theme of books. Alifano asks Borges, can you write a book on the theme of books? A book on the history of the book. Then Borges feels that yes, this is a good topic and we shall try. See, Borges speaks about the theme of books. Alifano suggested that Borges owes the readers a book on the history of the book. A book on the history of the book. Then Borges considered it as an excellent idea, but he considers it wonderful to write a history of the book, but he doubted whether he could do it at his age of 83. Borges remembers Spengler, another great writer, who wrote in his book, The Decline of the West, predates this attempt. He wrote remarkable comments on books. See, Borges tells that somebody has already tried on this. That is Spengler, a great writer. So he had written great, remarkable comments on books. So, one of the books, Borges quotes the words of Bernard Shaw. Bernard Shaw is another great philosopher and an orator, great speaker. So he says, every book worth being reread has been written by the Spirit. Every book worth being reread has been written by the Spirit. He completely concurs with Bernard Shaw's notion, since a book goes beyond its author's intention. See, whatever author is written, it is not the end. It goes beyond that. Author's intention. The author's intention is a meager thing. It is only a small thing, meager thing, and sometimes fallible. Sometimes there can be a mistake. In every book, there is a need for something which is always mysterious. When we read an ancient book, It is as though we were reading all times that has passed from the day it was written to our present day. A book can be full of errors. Suppose you read an ancient book, your mind goes back to those days, and then again it travels from there to the present day. Sometimes a book can be full of errors. We can reject the author's opinion. We can say, no, I don't agree with him, disagree with him. But the book always retains something sacred, something moral, and something magical. So this is also important. This is about the theme of books. A book goes beyond the author's intention. Do you agree? And that is a third main, first question, third comprehension, first one. And one more question is, what does Borges speak about the theme of books? What does Borges speak about the theme of books? So for both, the answer is the same. Again, broadly, I'll just repeat. So Alifano asked Borges to consider about the theme of books, to write a book on the history of the book. So Borges says, yes, it is a good topic which I should write. But at the same time, I doubt whether I can do it at this age of 83. Then he starts recollecting and telling, somebody has already predated his attempt, already written about remarkable comments on books. Who was that? Spengler, in his book, Decline of the West. Then, in one of his books, he quotes Bernard Shaw. Every book worth being reread has been written by the Spirit. Suppose there is a book and you want to read again and again. That means it is written by the Spirit, some superpower. So his writer has been inspired by some power, and that is the Spirit. Then he also concurs with Bernard Shaw's notion that a book goes beyond the author's intention. Author's intention is meager and a fallible thing, and there can be some errors, there can be some mistakes. You may agree or you may disagree, but even then, the book always contains something sacred, something moral, something magical, which always brings happiness. So this question. Then one more question is, the third one is, what? Sixth one is, why does Borges say that books will not disappear in spite of the modern modes of communication? Second comprehension. Sixth question is very important. Sometimes they ask us 6 more questions. So long answer. Why does Borges say that books will not disappear in spite of the modern means of communication? And third comprehension 3 nalli, third question is, what value does Borges see in literature? Why is it important for the future of mankind? For both, I am giving the combined answer. It's a long answer. Okay. Some people speak of the disappearance of books. Alifano tells Borges, some people think that books will disappear because of the modern developments in communications, such as the electronic media. They will start replacing them with something more dynamic that will require less time than reading. So what Alifano suggests that, gradually people say that books will disappear because of the developments in electronic media and the fast time it takes to go through instead of reading the books. So communication through letters has diminished because of electronic messages, emails and fax. They have taken the place of letters as they are fast modes of communication. Letters are referred to as snail mail. Snail. It goes very, very slowly. You might have seen, it's a slightly round, small insect, a creature. It moves very, very slowly, snail mail. Whereas electronic communication is considered as a fast mail service. So electronic mail, immediately it goes. Wherever in the world, you can send emails and all that. Next, Borges is of the opinion that books will never disappear. That is the heading of our lesson is, I believe that books will never disappear. That's what he stresses on. Books will never disappear. It is impossible that this will happen. It is not possible at all. The invention of book is the most astounding of all inventions. The invention of book by the man is the most astounding of all inventions. All the other inventions are extensions of our bodies. See, for example, the telephone is an extension of our voice. When we speak, we can speak to somebody nearby. But when we speak through a telephone, we can speak to somebody far away. That means it's an extension of our voice. The telescope and the microscope, they are extensions of our sight. So we can see something. But if you want to see minutely, you go for a microscope. If you want something very far away, like the stars, then you go for the telescope. So these two are extensions of our sight. The sword and the plow are extensions of our arms. See, man used to do everything with the hand, fight with the hand only, work with the hand only. But then things came up like sword, then becomes plow, niglu. All these things are extensions of our hand, our arms. Only the book is an extension of our imagination and memory. So, book is an extension of our imagination and memory. Then he tells about literature. See, literature, according to Borges, is a controlled dream. It is a dream, but controlled dream. We owe literature almost everything we are, what we have been, and what we will be. If literature is not there, history will not be there. Just because of literature, we are reading all these things. We are reading about Romeo and Shakespeare because of literature. We are reading about Borges because of literature. That means literature is everything. What we are, what we have been, and what we will be. Our past is nothing but a sequence of dreams. Our past is nothing but a sequence of dreams. Books are the great memory of all centuries. Books are the great memory of all centuries. Their function is irreplaceable. The function of book cannot be replaced. It is irreplaceable. If books disappear, history would disappear, and surely man would disappear. So this is how he concludes. Very important question. People say that books will disappear because of the modern developments in communications. So what is your opinion? So Borges tells that books will never disappear. Books will never disappear. It is impossible that this will happen. And the invention of book is the most astounding invention of man. All the other inventions are extensions of our bodies. Gives example, the telephone is an extension of our voice. The microscope and telescope, extensions of our sight. The sword and the plow are extensions of our hand. But book is the extension of our imagination and memory. And literature, according to Borges, is a controlled dream. It's a dream, but controlled dream. And we owe literature whatever we are, whatever we have been, and whatever we will be. That means history. We owe literature everything. And our past is nothing but a sequence of dreams. Books are the great memory of all centuries. And it is irreplaceable. Books cannot be replaced by any electronic gadgets or media. And if books disappear, history would disappear, and surely man would disappear. So I have discussed all the questions on, long answer questions on this thing. I believe that books will never disappear. Now with this, please go to the next continuation of word pairs. And in the beginning, in your workbook, we did something called pairs of words. And that time also, I spoke to you about word pairs. See, word pairs are non-reversible pairs which always appear in the same order. For example, back and forth. It can't read as forth and back. Okay, it is non-reversible and it always happens in the same order. And there are some word pairs here. That is trial and error, pride and prejudice, null and void, flora and fauna, whims and fancies. You can't say error and trial. You can't say fauna and flora. You can't reverse. Then some more are there. High and dry, time and again, pick and choose, time and tide, tooth and nail, forgive and forget, pros and cons, hale and hearty, hue and cry. So number 14 they are given, and there are some more. For example, slow and steady, to and fro, bread and butter, far and near, now and then, hit and run, give and take, short and stout, pay and use, time and river. All the metaphors are also coming here. Life and dream, death and sleep, stars and eyes, then rough and tough, fair and lovely, use and throw, day and night. You can make many more. So if you have got interest, there's a space at the textbook itself. You can start writing some more. And in this video, I have put some multiple choice questions based on word pairs, because all the other questions have been covered up. For every video, we have to give a Google form questions. So I have given on word pairs. With this, I'll close the today's lessons. Okay then, thank you.